any players getting held out of this game for trade reasons?
James is playing, Bronner's playing, Kevin's playing. We'll play 7D. So, Lixie, Bellows, they're out. Those would be the guys that are out, right? Yeah.
And Carter in net.
Carter and net.
With all the noise swirling around this group, I know you talked about it a little bit the other day, just to make sure everybody's head is in the right place, do you have to say anything to them, or do you just, they're professionals, you know they'll be able to handle everything?
I've already had that conversation, like I talked about yesterday. Yeah, I had that conversation back when people were talking about Provy being traded. No, I'm not concerned about that with this group.
James was telling us that he hasn't really had a coach address that before, but he felt like it was really nice to have you acknowledge it. Why have you learned that it's important to talk about these things?
Talk about what?
Like just the distractions that are going on and staying focused, but like acknowledging that they're out there.
Yeah. I think everybody dances around everything around here, and we're grown men. Yeah, this is a situation we're in. Let's be honest about it, and let's handle it the right way as pros. So, I don't think it's anything earth-shattering. I think it's just a proper way to do it.
Going back to this weekend, you gave Cam York the night off. You said it was nothing bad. You just kind of wanted to give him a chance to sort of catch his breath. Have you seen his game dip, and
Yep.
do you think that's the result of how much ice time he's been getting?
A lot of ice time. His game has dipped. Played on the right side. Played him on the left side. We actually liked him better on the right side, and so it's an ever-flowing process with him. I just felt he needed a night off because I don't want it to mount up on him, and he's an important guy that we're trying to develop the proper way, but he just wasn't taken out to be given a rest. He has struggled a little bit, and so a night off sometimes helps. He'll go back in here tonight.
John, when you see all these teams around the league, especially in your division, making trades, upgrading their teams, do you long for that day when you guys are in that spot?
We talked about that the other day. It's not so much for me, it's for the players. They're the most important people. They're watching it and seeing teams getting geared up for it. It's hard for them. You know, you start in camp and you go through the grind and this, that, the other thing, and you're on the outside looking in with another 5 or 6 weeks left to play. It's hard for them. And hopefully go through this process the proper way, we'll get there. We'll be one of those teams that are looking to add.
Going back to Charlie's question, you mentioned that Cam was just one of some of the players that you worried about how much ice time you're giving. How are you trying to manage that? Is that something you're thinking about constantly through games, or is that a plan that you're going to put in place over the course of the rest of the season?
Well, I don't, as a coach, you get in the game, you're trying to win that game. You know, you get that mindset, and it's after when you look at things, you look how much ice time Catesy and Lotz and actually TK, but TK is getting rest now, so you look at some of the ice time they've gotten. That's when you start thinking about it. I'm going into each and every game to try to win. There may be some different lineups with some different players as far as if we want to look at them. I'm not sure how it's all going to work after the deadline. But I still go with the same mindset. Once you start the game and those are the guys that are in the lineup, I owe it to them right now to try to help them win each and every game that they play. It's hard to forecast what the lineup's going to be. As I said the other day, I think it's very important that Lehigh gets in, so though the kids in the process they're in can continue to play in playoffs. Not sure what the lineups look like as we move forward or after the deadline.
With TK out now for the foreseeable future, it may not necessarily be fair to him, but do you look for more from a guy like Owen Tippett? He's probably the most dynamic offensive weapon you guys have now with TK out.
Yeah, I look for that and that part of his game, but it gives him a chance to show us, can he kill a penalty? You know, we're trying him there. it's a constant process with Tip in teaching situational play. We're still, the way I look at him, he gets more minutes in offensive situations now, but it's also developing him in the other part of the game too. I'm not going to let up on that because the games are kind of meaningless as far as where we go with it. It's still National Hockey League games to develop your kids. And Tip's played a few NHL games, but he still has some work to do away from the puck. And the one that's interesting for me is penalty killing. Can we count on him to be a penalty killer? We're going to give him a chance there as we go through the last quarter.
John, how important are these final 21 games for Morgan Frost to maybe show you guys
Very.
if he has another level or
Yeah,
another year?
very important. Yeah, and for a number of guys, Allie and players like that I think have improved. I think a number of players have improved, but as an organization, you're always trying to improve your team and develop your players. Great, but we have to make some calls on. Are we heading in the right direction with this guy? Even though they've improved, is it still the right guy as we move forward? Or do we need to look elsewhere in certain situations to try to keep on climbing in improvement? So it's very important for those guys, and along with a few other guys too.
Just
Going back-
mentioned Wade Allison. What have you liked and not liked about his progression over the course of the year? Obviously, he's dealt with some injuries too, though. When he's thinking about how to play, which to me is north-south, and on the wall play, he's had a number of good minutes here of late as far as wall play. When he starts thinking he's something else, and I want to make sure I clarify, I'm not trying to take his stick out of his hand, but I just want him to understand who he is. And for him to get his footing in the National Hockey League, you need to rely on that first and get yourself to be a National Hockey Leaguer, and then maybe branch out into some other things. I don't think he's anywhere near that. I think he's a north-south, straight-ahead guy, and go chase things down and play underneath the hash marks. And I think of late he has shown he can do that. He's one that we talk about. He's one that we're looking at closely as far as, do we think he's the guy that we can keep on counting on, and do we see if there's more in his game?
Going back
One or
to
two more?
Cam York, when he started the season down in Lehigh, you said you wanted to see an improvement in his mindsets and wanting to come into games and make an impact right off the jump. How much has he grown in that regard? What have you seen?
I've seen him grow in that area, but that's kind of why I think there's been some struggle in his game. I don't think he's been consistent in that area. I want him to take a chance. I want him to always to take a chance and do things with the puck, with his legs, not just bang it off the wall and ice it. And I think that's what's been missing in his game. The skills aren't what bother me, and I think in the dip of his game, I think his mindset, that's what's dipped. And try to refresh him, and hopefully he comes back and be aggressive with it.
You and Chuck have both talked about the importance of the Phantoms making a playoff run. With that in mind, how tough is it to decide on Desi, as you call him, on whether you want to keep him here or help the Phantoms? He's a guy you probably want to see here.
Yeah.
At the same time, he could help the Phantoms.
He'll be part of that down there. I'll tell you that
He'll
right
be
now.
in.
Oh yeah, he's going to be part of that. It's huge for his development too. He deserves another game. I'm not sure what happens. We had some injuries. He's going to be part of that. I'll tell you that right now. That's huge for his development.